In this video, you'll learn 3 keys for building and strengthening friendships so you can fulfill your need for connection and community, that feeling of being at home. Towards the end of the video, I will share ideas for ways and places to meet new potential friends so you can enjoy that experience of laughing and having fun with others more often. If you are truly wanting more connection, more friends, then I encourage you to watch this video the whole way through because there'll be a bonus tip at the end. Say yes to enjoying your life by subscribing to this channel and look for the bell icon to see future videos. And visit joyfulbeing.com if you yearn to experience more joy. Hi there, my name is Kim McIntyre, and my mission is to help people to reclaim more joy and laughter in everyday life. If experiencing more joy sounds good to you, then be sure to grab the freebie on my website for discovering or even rediscovering what true joy is for you. Not anybody else, just for you. So you'll find the link for that in the video description, or you can visit joyfulbeing.com. Before the pandemic, I was part of an amazing community at this yoga school where I both taught for 15 years and I was a student there for much longer, going back into the 90s. And it was just this amazing place where during classes we would all experience this feeling of inner peace together, and then we would hang out before classes, after classes, share, talk, all of that. All of that was built into my life. And then the pandemic happened, and like many businesses, unfortunately, the yoga school did not survive. And I know it was a tough time for a lot of people. There was a lot of that feeling of isolation and loneliness. And so when the yoga school went away, I was like, okay, what's next? As we were moving out of the pandemic, my husband got a job that it was his dream job, really. So I was very excited for him, but at the same time, it had him traveling a lot. So I was alone a lot more. Coming out of the pandemic, I was actually even more alone because my husband was gone a lot. And while I am an introvert, which means to recharge my batteries, I do need some quiet time, some alone time to center myself, calm myself, chill out. I need all that. But this was way too much alone time. It was way too quiet, way too much time by myself, and there were lots of times where I was feeling really lonely. So I knew I needed to be proactive. I needed to put myself out there, find different ways to meet people and have conversations and interact and make new friends. And I've spent the last couple of years doing that. At first it was a little uncomfortable. You know, it's not the easiest thing to make friends when you're an adult. As a teenager or in college or wherever, there are people all around you all the time to make friends with. It's kind of like friendship is like easier than it is as an adult. But I knew I needed to make the effort, so I did. I've spent the last couple of years applying everything that I'm about to share with you, doing it myself. And so I wanted to share what I learned with you and the keys and takeaways. And so that's what this video is all about. And just keep in mind, if this introvert can do it, you can do it too. Okay, so here are 3 keys for building new connections with people. Key number 1, listen more than you talk. I mean, this sounds simple, but it's really important to be curious about other people, ask them questions, and really actively listen. Everybody wants to be heard, so giving people that space to be heard is such a gift. This is an important key whether you are already super talkative or you're super shy or you're somewhere in between. Okay, so if you're super talkative and you just jump right in and talking's easy, you might assume that that's the case for everybody. And if they want to say something, they're just going to jump right in. That's not the case for everybody. And so you want to be able to make sure you're making space for everybody to be heard and listened to, and being listened to feels like being cared about. It's really, really important. Now, if you're super shy and talking isn't easy for you, you can think about what kind of questions you want to ask people, what types of things you are curious about, you'd like to know. It can be very simple, light questions. I mean, don't start with deep questions. This goes for everybody. Start with light stuff, like if somebody's hosting a party, how do you know that person? Have you lived here long? What do you like to do around town? That kind of stuff that's very simple and light and easy to talk about. And if it naturally develops and gets deeper from there, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. You can move on to the next person. It's all good. But listening is key. Key number 2, notice how you feel around people. How do you feel physically? How do you feel emotionally? So look for patterns as well. So if you're around one person and you notice a pattern that every time you spend time with them, you feel tired, physically tired afterwards, or frustrated, or there's a pattern, notice it. If it just happens once, you don't know that they're the reason that you feel tired, right? That could be any number of reasons, but you're just looking for clues about how you feel around certain people. And notice positive feelings. If you feel energized, if you feel happy, if you feel good around certain people, then that's another clue. This is somebody that you might want to spend more time around. It's also good to feel into and notice who feels trustworthy. Is this a trustworthy person? Are they someone who has the capacity to give and receive? So these are all things to look for in potential new friends, qualities to be aware of. And so it really is just a process of feeling how you feel and being aware and open and observant. Key number 3, be brave and introduce yourself. For some of you, this is like no big deal. For somebody like me who's a little more introverted, it takes some practice to get used to doing it. But once you do it, it really is no big deal. You just walk, hey, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Kim. Who are you? What's your name? And have a few questions at the ready and just start up conversation. And if it feels good, you can continue the conversation. If not, you can say, oh, I see somebody over there I need to talk to, or whatever. It's just a process, a journey, a practice to be brave, put yourself out there, and just don't sit back and wait for somebody to come to you. Be brave and be courageous. So I promised you ways and places to start looking for new connections, new friendships. And I have a list here. I'm just going to read some ideas to you and just kind of sit with it, receive it. If you have pen and paper, maybe take some notes. If some of the ideas appeal to you, you can play this section over and over again if you want to take notes. And it's just a place to start, right? You got to start and you got to put yourself out there if you want to make new connections. So the first place to start is with classes. So I just finished taking a stand-up comedy class and we had a blast and I met new people and we had fun and talk about being brave and being courageous. That was a brave, courageous thing that I did. But I've also taken other classes over the years and there's exercise classes, there's stuff at the gym, there's arts and crafts stores you can go to, community colleges have classes. Public libraries have adult classes and adult gatherings. I was just at the library yesterday and I noticed a big bulletin board full of different events at the public library. There's community centers and churches and art centers. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. There are places that might post community bulletins about events, or you might find things on Facebook or other social media about events that are listed. So you just need to keep your eye open and look. And classes is a great way to start. It's also good to look for events that encourage mingling, like trivia nights, networking groups, book clubs, karaoke nights like at local pubs. Those kind of things are great for having that conversation and that fun and that interaction built in, like a game night or something like that. An app that I've used a lot the last couple of years, and I've used it over the years, but over the last couple of years I've relied on it more, is meetup.com. meetup.com. They have an app, and I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get any kickbacks from them or anything. I just use the app a lot, and you have to experiment. It's hit or miss, but if you do sign up to go to an event and then you have to cancel, then there's a way in the app to just change your RSVP, and I highly recommend that. That's a polite thing to do if you decide not to go, even if it's last minute, to just change your RSVP so that the person hosting the group knows. And because sometimes the groups have a limited amount of people at any given event, and that means somebody else on the waiting list can go if you RSVP that you've changed your mind. So with this app, all you do is you put in your interests, the types of things you enjoy, and then the app will give you suggestions on events that are happening that you might want to go to. And again, I said it's hit or miss. You got to be willing to have some good things, some not so great things, but the whole point is just to keep putting yourself out there and keep looking to make new connections. And not everybody has to be a best buddy. You're just looking to have conversations and meet some interesting people. And one more idea is to start your own group. If there's something you enjoy, like quilting or game nights or playing cards, anything like that, something that you particularly enjoy, maybe you start your own group, and maybe just start with a few people have them invite some people and see what happens. And so that's one more option to build something in a more organic way of building a community. And I've seen people do it with book clubs and game nights and all kinds of things. So it is another option. Here is your bonus tip, which is, I think, in a way, just as key as all the other 3 keys that I just gave you. Have a long-term outlook and be consistent. So what I've noticed, like going to meetup groups and things like that, is that if I'm not consistent with a particular group, they start to bond and I'm not there, and then I show up and I have to reintroduce myself again and all of that. So if there's a group you find that you like, as much as possible, make sure you make time in your schedule to show up and be consistent. And also have that long-term outlook, because building connections, building new friendships, it takes time, right? You need to build that consistency, that trust, that getting to know people more deeply. I mean, if you're a super extrovert, you might just dive right in and it's easy for you, and you probably don't even need this video. But if you're not, like a lot of people, then you need to have that as part of an ongoing thing in your life. It's not a one and done. It's not fast food order. It is an ongoing thing that you say, you know what, this is important to me, so I just need to make some space for it. It doesn't have to be a lot of time or a lot of space, but however much space you give it, it needs to be fairly consistent. That's all for now. If you haven't grabbed that freebie yet, look for that link in the description. Until next time, keep finding your sense of humor and keep looking for ways to do more of this.